Hello, everyone. Welcome to this special, very special edition of the Beer Garden. We are going to have the biggest meeting for the whole season. It will be the HKIR, the Hong Kong International Races. So on this Sunday at Charene, we are going to watch four Group Ones together. There are not only our Hong Kong representatives, but also so many overseas horses coming to Hong Kong to compete with each other. So I can't wait for the big day. How are you, Steve? Are you looking forward to the HKIR?
Oh, absolutely. I can't wait. Yes, really excited. And also my work shift means I'm off the whole weekend. So I can even get up at some ridiculous hour in the night in Edinburgh in Scotland and just watch it.
Yep.
So I'm looking forward to it.
Oh, that's perfect. You are going to have a day off, so you can just enjoy the races at some midnight time. Is it midnight at your
It
place?
starts at the first race starts at 4:25 a.m. It's not very
Oh,
sociable. So I might just fall asleep and then wake up when I wake up, and I might be into race three or something. And
yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, you need to set the alarms for the meeting. So,
I will.
yeah, in this episode, we are going to discuss, of course, the four good ones and also your best bet for the day. So maybe let's start with the one with the shortest distance. It will be over the 1200 meters. The Hong Kong sprints this year, we are going to have the full field of 14 Hong Kong horses, Japanese horses, and also Singapore horses are also in the field as well. Who do you like in the Hong Kong sprint, Steve?
Well, I thought it was very difficult to pick between the likes of Lucky Sweynesse and Wellington. Of course, Wellington won the Premier Bowl on his seasonal return, and then that was on a handicap. So on level weights, he was very strongly recommended. Oh, he was a likely winner of the Jockey Club Sprint, of course, but he was only sixth behind Lucky Sweynesse. And of course, there was a good reason for the below par run because there was a lameness issue. But there's a doubt, isn't it? You have Lucky Sweynesse, who's the new kid on the block, who's improving all the time. He's nicely drawn here, and you've also got Wellington, who, if back to his best, and Richard Gibson seems to think he is, has a first-rate chance. Both are very short, of course, in the market. They're first and second favourite. I think Wellington, if he's back to his best, will probably confirm his. Will probably turn the tables again, and he's the king, isn't he? I think he's still the best of the sprinting division. But at the prices, I just like the thought of Cordyceps 6, the second string for Robert Gibson. He's a very nice horse. He's son of Starturn, and he just continues to improve. He finished nicely for fifth in the Jockey Club Sprint. He kept tabs on the winner all the way to the line. If you watch them coming into the straight there, he was about a couple of lengths behind Lucky Sweynesse, but he didn't lose. He didn't lose any distance. Kept on nicely. Gate 13 is the obvious drawback. That is the problem. And in a race this competitive, you need everything in your favour. But it has been done before. I never like missing out or going off a horse because of a high draw. And if you remember back in 2020, Ryan Moore, he piloted Danon Smash to win from gate 14. So
Yes.
nothing is impossible, and I think Cordyceps 6 has enough pace to actually adopt a nice position. And if he's there, if he's close enough in the home straight, anything can happen. He's 25-1 with Sky Bet over in Britain for the first each way for four places, which is quite nice.
Oh man, it was really tough to narrow it down because I like a lot of the local horses like Lucky Sweezeness and Wellington. Skyfield always runs an honest race, and I really wanted to pick him. I just didn't like the draw, and every time he's drawn bad, he doesn't really perform as well. And I really liked him. I didn't like him enough last year for him to win, but I am gonna take. And you mentioned off the air, Limbs Kosciuszko. I really
Oh,
think this, after watching a lot of the performances that he's had, they've been really, really good. And one, he held them off. One, he took came up from behind and won. Against some of the best sprinters in Singapore as well, like Golden Monkey and King Arthur. It's a pretty tough race. I mean, look, there's a lot of them that could most definitely win this one, especially a lot of the local horses. Like I think Cordyceps 6 could very well bounce back, and same with Courier Wonder, who has had a lot of bad luck in
yeah.
his last couple runs. But I do like Limbs. I just think he's a really gutsy horse, and I think he could. outperform everybody and take everybody's by surprise. Maybe they'll put him on the lead. That's what the speed map is suggesting. But I think, I mean, I really want to see Wellington win, but I think it's going to be an international horse, and I believe it's going to be Limbs Kosciuszko. And I remember you tweeted out something that this is Danny Beasley's potentially last race, correct?
Right. He will retire after this race.
Yeah, so hopefully he does get the win before he retires. So I'm hoping for him. I know it's a big price. Some of these I don't really trust. Like, they've drawn really bad, except for Lucky Suiziness, who's drawn number 3. It's Zach Purton, but I'll give you a little spoiler alert. I don't have Zach Purton in any of my picks.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna go with Limbs Kosciuszko, the number 8.
Oh, and the second race, the second group one we are going to discuss will be the Hong Kong Mile over 1,600 meters. So of course, this year, I think it is quite dominated by the Hong Kong horses because we are going to have Golden 60 and California Spangle at the moment. Joe, who do you like in the Hong Kong Mile?
Oh, I have to go with Golden 60, especially with that last performance in the Private Wealth Jockey Club Mile. He looks like he's back in form, and he still hasn't got below a third in his last, I don't know, it's been a long time since he's been out of the money. I don't even think he has been out of the money. It's California Spangle obviously is going to take the lead. We know that. I think that's going to be a given, unless somebody else goes with him and puts pressure on him. Maybe Chanel Master or Salios. I think the betting is going to suggest it's going to be one of the two, Golden 60 and California Spangle, but Golden 60 doesn't look like he's done. He just keeps winning, and he keeps beating California Spangle. He beat him twice.
Yeah.
I think, and they kept the faith with Vincent Ho, and he's still on him, so they're still trying to run him. He's a 7-year-old now, but he's still pretty good. I mean, there's nothing against California Spangle. He's really fast, especially for the mile. He could still hang on. You could cause some upsets with maybe More Than This, who was the only one that was really close to beating Golden 60. Waikuku, another one. The one I actually thought was an interesting one was Danon Scorpion. His last 2 runs were not great, but then his other ones in the NHK Mile Cup and the Arlington Cup were really good, and those were at some huge fields. And he had a lot of big turn of foot, and at bad barriers over there. But there's so much space when you're racing in Japan that you could go out and it won't matter what you had. So Down on Scorpion, I think, is an interesting one. I mean, you could probably put it underneath, especially when they booked William Buick for it. But I can't go against Golden 60. I think it's gonna. He's drawn perfect to set up for California Spangle, who's drawn 2. So you're gonna see California Spangle go here, and then Golden 60 is obviously going to be in the back. It's going to make a perfect run for him, I think.
I think you would imagine Golden 60 will confirm the form once again, but and he looked imperious, didn't he? I mean, I picked him to win on his reappearance, and of course he wasn't even favourite. It was California Spangle who was the favourite, but Purton tried everything he could, but ultimately the best horse wins. But there comes a time that I think it'd be lovely to see a dead heat, wouldn't it? It's not going to happen, but a dead heat would be great. I just think California Spangle, we haven't seen the best of him. And Golden 60, 22 wins from 25 runs, 7 years old. You just imagine at one stage that he may well become slightly more inconsistent, possibly. The talent's still there. If he reproduces what he did in the last run, he wins. But Zach Purton maybe put the foot down on the accelerator a little bit earlier this time in the home straight. Maybe see just what Golden 60 has. Maybe try and up the tempo earlier. Put him under more pressure, and he's nicely drawn in gate 2. It's an interesting race, I suppose. Beauty Joy, Hugh Bowman, but Beauty Joy's not the most straightforward of characters. And then we have the likes of Laws of Indices and Schnellmeister. But it's hard to imagine the front 2 not fighting it out at the finish. I think Golden 60 will probably win, but at $4 I think California Spangle will be the one that I'm going for.
And the other Group 1 that we are going to discuss will be the 200 meters or Hong Kong Cup. In this year, I think it would be quite funny because there are some Japanese runners that are likely to be leading, and also the Hong Kong runners, the island runners are also quite top form. Who do you like in the Hong Kong Cup, Joe?
I mean, it's pretty much the same. I'm gonna go with the local horse, especially since James McDonald's won on him. It's gonna be a Romantic Warrior. He's just looks really good. He didn't look like he lost anything after a 7-month spell. And it's just the Japanese runners, I think, against them. Jack D'Or is a pretty good horse too in Japan. I wouldn't say pretty good. He is good, but he hasn't really got up to Group 1 level. Order of Australia, obviously one that's went to America and won at a big price, but I don't think he's won since after that. No, he has won since. He's won at the Curragh, but then after that, and then also also in the Curragh. So yeah, Order of Australia, I don't know. Russian Emperor could cause an upset, but I don't really see it. He has been kind of falling off in his last 2 runs, but I wouldn't throw him out completely. He could very well come back. And Tourbillon Diamond, I think, is a really, really interesting one because after he won his G3 in the Premier Plate, beating Turin Redson, obviously the field wasn't that strong, but he was carrying a top weight at 60 kilos. He had some really decent runs behind California Spangle and also behind Romantic Warrior in their the Bosch Jockey Gold Cup or the Jockey Club Cup. Yes. And those two, I think, performances, especially he came at $40, almost beating or getting close to California Spangle and then Romantic Warrior. So I think he's another one that's something that's going to be underneath. If you're looking for maybe a price, maybe Tourbillon Diamond, I think as an each way, but definitely the best bet has to be Romantic Warrior. It's either going to be a Romantic Warrior or Golden 60. I'm leaning more towards Romantic Warrior. I think he's pretty proven just as much as Golden 60 has.
I thought I'd take a chance here with Geoglyph for Tetsuya Kimura. Apologies if the pronunciation's wrong there, but I thought this was a really interesting race. Romantic Warrior, of course, is the flying the flag for the home defence, returned with victory in the Jockey Club Cup with his stablemate not far behind, of course, Tourbillon Diamond for Danny Shum. Tourbillon Diamond, not to be overlooked here, but gate 12 is a very tricky barrier. But I thought this was a cracking race. We've got Jack D'Or, we've got Panthalassa, who has been unlucky recently. It was silver, picked up the silver in the Sapporo Canen, and then latterly in the Tenno Show, worn down by Equinox. Looked for all the winner, didn't he? Like he was going to win. He was so far ahead. But I just thought the chance of Geoglyph each way was interesting. He won the Japanese 2,000 guineas in April. He defeated his more fancied stablemate Equinox, who of course went on to beat Panthalassa. Now he needs to improve because in the Tenno Show 6 weeks back, he was well behind Panthalassa and Jack D'Or. But you wouldn't think they'd be bringing him over for nothing. I think he's also impressed on the gallops. I've watched him do race course gallops, Geoglyph, and William Buick, a very eye-catching booking as well. So for me, on each way price for the place, I think that Geoglyph is a 3-year-old going places. He's an interesting horse, and I don't think he's just coming over for fun.
And the last race we are going to talk about will be the Hong Kong Vase, which will be at the longest distance of 2,400 meters. Recently, actually in the recent year, the Hong Kong representatives are not that good at this kind of stay race. So maybe the overseas horses can have the advantage. So who do you think, Joe, in this year's Hong Kong Vase?
As much as I really think that Glory Vase could very well win this 3 in a row, I don't think he's going to get it. I don't think he's going to get the hat trick in this race. I'm going to go something down the bottom, especially with the weights, and that's Win Maryland. That last race in their QE2 Cup in Japan, she performed really, really well, but just couldn't hang on to Geraldina. And I don't think that you could throw that performance out, especially. And Damian Lane was also over here, so she's also going to be riding her as well. Another interesting one is Stone Age, and Aidan O'Brien's won this race a whole bunch of times, the most out of any trainer that has done this race. So that's another one also with the weights, but he's also a 3-year-old. pretty promising one after getting so many seconds in their G1s over there, and then also in a G3 he ended up winning. But it's 3-year-old against all the other older horses that are carrying more weight. Botanic is another one I think is an interesting one as well, who didn't perform as well at the Qatar pre-dollar, but before that was really, really good. But it's unfortunate that Mikhail Barcelona got COVID, because I think that not that William Buick wouldn't be a bad replacement. It's just Mikhail Barcelona was the main jockey for him. Yeah, I mean, and then you also have Broom, who won, I believe, won one of the Breeders' Cup races here in America, and also at St. Cloud is another one. But and also gets Yukataka Take, which is an interesting booking. But he was on him before at Longchamp, but just couldn't perform, so they put him back on. I just really like Win Maryland just because of the weights and her last performance last time out. I mean, it's not really that strong of a field, and I don't think the Hong Kong horses are that much of staying horses. They're more of the middle distance and sprint, so that's why I don't really think a Hong Kong horse is going to win. If I had to pick one, it'd probably be Senior Toba, but I just don't like the draw. So, yeah, I'm going to go with Win Maryland number 9 in the Vase.
Yeah, it's a very interesting race, isn't it? The French, the two-pronged attack, of course. The master trainer Andre Fabre is represented by Botanic, and I think the better chance lies with Michael Derzongle in Bubble Gift, who was disappointing in the Pre-Galactic Triomphe at Paris Longchamp, but that was in heavy going. So I think this is a better conditions for him, and also Patrice Lemaire, Christophe Lemaire, a very good booking as well. Some history with Michael Derzongle, so a good chance I think for Bubble Gift. And also we've also got the likes, as you say, I think Senior Toba has the best chance for the local contingent, but they'll be hard pressed, I think, to defeat the foreign raiders. Stone Age is interesting, along with stablemate Broom. They both ran in the Breeders' Cup Turf, and the former, Stone Age, ran very well, picked up the silver, ran second, and today's pilot, Ryan Moore. I think he's got a very nice chance. He's a 3-year-old, and of course we know that Ryan Moore has had success in this race with Highland Real and also Mogul as 3-year-olds. I just decided a bit of sentimentality here. I like Glory Vase. I thought he might win for a third time. He defeated Pile Driver last season. He's had a typically very light campaign in leading up to this. He was 6th in the Sapporo Kinen over in Japan, where he finished a couple of lengths behind the third that day. That's Win Marilyn, who's piloted on Sunday by Damien Lane, who's riding excellently in Japan. But I just thought it'd be a nice swan song for Joe Moreira, who's ridden him to his 2 previous victories. And what a more appropriate name than Glory Vase to win the Vase for one final time.
Yes, that's such a good coincidence. Yes, I think it is quite difficult to pick only one horse in this Vase, because I think there are so many top class stayers here.
I think I'll pick
So
5.
yes. Oh yes, maybe. Yeah, but to be honest, I'm not that confident for our local Hong Kong runners.
No.
But yes, Glory Vase representing Japan is looking for his 3rd win in the Hong Kong Vase, and this will also be his last race before retirement. After having this race, he will go to retire. And yes, this time Joe Moreira will be partnered this horse again. So hopefully both of them can have some good results on Sunday. So we just finished talking about the 4 Group 1s, but the other races for the day at Charene are also quite good. Do you have any best bet for the day, Steve?
Oh, I thought it was quite tough. I ended up going to race 9. I thought Golden Express was a nice horse under Purton. He was slightly unlucky on debut behind Victor the Winner. He goes up £3, but I think he's obviously got lots of improvement. So I think Golden Express, and maybe Victor the Winner can actually give the form a boost earlier on in the card, because Victor the Winner is up against Dragon's Luck, who was a very nice debut winner under Lyle Hewitson for Douglas White. So if Victor the Winner wins in race 3, which I think he might, that will give me more confidence for Golden Express in the penultimate race. But I'm just looking forward to all 10 races. It looks fantastic.
You could flip a coin between Romantic Warrior and Golden 60. I think it's going to be those two. Those are going to be pretty straightforward. And if you're playing like a 6-up or something like that, or the treble, which the Hong Kong Cup is race 8, I think you could take a chance. And Banker, Romantic Warrior, I think he just looks too good. I think he could outclass the field, especially he's an up and coming 4-year-old still. But I think I don't think any. It's just he's just running really good right now, and especially with James McDonald is a huge plus. And James McDonald is a really, really good jockey, and he's still having one hell of a year. So, yeah, race number 8, the Hong Kong Gold Cup number 2, Romantic Warrior is my best bet.
Because apart from the 4 good ones, the other 6 races also have some good horses here, especially there are some 4-year-olds. Maybe they are now preparing for the 4-year-old Classic Series in the coming month. So hopefully all the horses can run well, and also let's enjoy the big race no matter where you are. I know you at that time you will be in the midnight sleep. So yeah, no problem. I think you can just set the alarm and wake up to enjoy the big race.
Maybe I'll just stay up all night.
Yeah, no need to sleep.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's cool. So thank you for your time today, Steve. And I also thank you for watching our show. Hopefully we can bring you some winner and just enjoy the big day at the weekend at Charene. We will see you next time. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.